On the night of April 13, 2024, Iran fired over 300 missiles and drones directly at Israel in the largest single ballistic missile attack the Middle East had ever witnessed. The world held its breath. American destroyers in the Mediterranean cut their engines and turned their radar arrays skyward. Iron Dome batteries across Israel came alive. And somewhere in the Nevada desert, analysts inside a classified facility watched the entire attack unfold on thermal satellite feeds in real time. Most of the missiles were intercepted. Most, but not all. 3 of them hit their targets. And the one missile that caused the most damage that night, a weapon that American intelligence analysts had privately assessed as capable of defeating most existing theater missile defense systems, was a design that the Iranian government had publicly unveiled just 12 months earlier. That missile is on this list. But the far more unsettling question, the one that has kept defense planners in Washington awake for years, is not whether Iran can hit a target. It is whether anything in the American arsenal could survive a full-scale Iranian missile barrage long enough to strike back. This is the complete side-by-side comparison of every major American and Iranian missile system in the current global arsenal. And what the numbers reveal will fundamentally change how you think about the next war in the Middle East, Iran, Shahab 1 and Shahab 2. The story of Iran's missile program begins not in Tehran but in Moscow, because Iran's first serious ballistic missiles were not designed by Iranian engineers at all. The Shahab 1, entering Iranian service in the 1980s during the brutal Iran-Iraq War, was a direct copy of the Soviet Scud-B missile, supplied initially through North Korea and Libya. With a range of roughly 300 kilometers and a circular error probable, the military's measure of accuracy, representing the radius within which 50% of shots will land, of approximately 450 meters. The Shahab 1 was, by modern standards, a weapon of limited precision and enormous psychological impact. When Iranian forces fired Shahabs at Baghdad during what history would call the War of the Cities in 1988, the goal was not to destroy specific military targets. The goal was to make 2 million civilians believe they might die at any moment, and to drain Iraqi morale through relentless, unpredictable bombardment. The Shahab 2, a derivative of the longer-range Scud-C, extended that reach to 500 kilometers and improved a warhead payload. Neither missile could reliably hit a building. Both could reliably hit a city. For the strategic purpose Iran intended, that was more than sufficient. United States, MGM-140 ATACMS deployed since the Gulf War of 1991. The MGM-140 Army Tactical Missile system represents the American answer to the short-range battlefield ballistic missile requirement, and the contrast with the Shahab family is immediate and stark. Fired from the same HIMARS and M270 MLRS launchers that Ukraine has used with devastating effect against Russian logistics chains. The ATACMS carries either a unitary high-explosive warhead or a submunition payload across a range of up to 300 kilometers. Its GPS and inertial navigation guidance system delivers a circular error probable of less than 10 meters. That is the difference between a weapon that hopes to hit a city block and a weapon that can punch through a specific window of a specific building at a specific grid coordinate. During the Gulf War, ATACMS missiles were fired against Iraqi command bunkers with accuracy that left military analysts who reviewed the post-strike imagery briefly unable to believe the results. The missile had not missed by 50 meters or even 10. In one documented case, the strike hit within 2 meters of the intended aim point, from a range of over 100 kilometers. Iran's Shahab 1 and Shahab 2 could not replicate that level of precision if they were fired 1,000 times. Iran, Shahab 3 and Gadr 1. This is where Iran's missile program stops being a regional nuisance and starts becoming a genuine strategic threat. The Shahab 3, first tested in 1998 and based heavily on North Korea's Nodong-1 design, extends Iran's reach to approximately 1,300 kilometers, far enough to strike Israel, Saudi Arabia, and every American military base in the Gulf region from Iranian soil without the missile ever crossing an international border. Western intelligence agencies spent years debating whether the Shahab 3's re-entry vehicle could be configured to carry a nuclear warhead. The conclusion, reflected in multiple declassified assessments, was that it could not immediately, not without further engineering refinement, but the fundamental architecture was there. The Gad-1, an Iranian domestic evolution of the Shahab 3 airframe, pushed the range to 1,600 kilometers while reducing the warhead weight to achieve that additional distance. It also introduced a modified re-entry vehicle shape that made it marginally harder to intercept during terminal phase flight. The final few seconds before impact, when a missile defense system has its last opportunity to engage. Iranian state media released footage of Gad-1 test launches with a frequency that served a purpose. Beyond simple military evaluation, every televised launch was a political message directed simultaneously at Washington, Tel Aviv, and Riyadh, United States, Pershing II, and why its absence matters. Here is the uncomfortable gap in the American medium-range ballistic missile inventory. There is none. The Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, signed between the United States and the Soviet Union in 1987 and abandoned by both sides in 2019, prohibited the development of ground-launched ballistic missiles with ranges between 500 and 5,500 kilometers for over 3 decades. The Pershing II, an extraordinarily accurate medium-range ballistic missile capable of delivering a nuclear warhead to within 30 meters of a target at 1,800 kilometers range, was destroyed under the treaty's terms. America spent 32 years without a land-based answer to missiles like the Shahab 3 and Gad-1. Only since the treaty's collapse has development of new medium-range land-based systems resumed, and none have yet entered operational service. In the interim, the burden of countering Iranian medium-range ballistic missiles has fallen not on American missile forces but on American missile defense systems. That is a fundamentally different strategic equation, one that Iran's planners understood and deliberately exploited. Iran, Soumar and Hoveizeh Iran's cruise missile program represents a different category of threat entirely, slower than a ballistic missile, but capable of flying at extremely low altitudes that defeat radar coverage and following terrain-hugging flight paths that make interception geometrically complex. The Soumar cruise missile, first unveiled in 2015, was reverse-engineered from Soviet Kh-55 cruise missiles that Ukraine had illegally sold to Iran in 2001, a transaction that sent shockwaves through Western intelligence communities when it was confirmed. With an estimated range of 2,000 to 3,000 kilometers and a design derived from a weapon originally intended to carry Soviet nuclear warheads, the Soumar represented Iran's first genuine long-range strike capability against targets in Europe. The Hoveizeh, unveiled in 2019, refined the design with an extended range officially stated at 1,350 kilometers, though Western analysts estimated the actual figure was considerably higher. During the April 2024 attack on Israel, Iranian cruise missiles were detected and tracked by American E-3 Sentry Airborne, warning aircraft operating over the Eastern Mediterranean. Aircraft that exist specifically to find low-flying threats that ground radar cannot see. United States BGM-109 Tomahawk Any single weapon defines the American way of war in the post-Cold War era. It is the Tomahawk cruise missile, first used operationally during the Gulf War in 1991 and refined through continuous upgrades for over 3 decades. The current Block V Tomahawk carries a 450-kilogram warhead across a range exceeding 1,600 kilometers with GPS precision that delivers a circular error probable measured in single-digit meters. During the 2018 strikes on Syrian chemical weapons facilities, Tomahawk missiles fired from American destroyers in the Mediterranean flew complex, pre-programmed routes around Syrian and Russian air defense coverage before arriving at their targets within seconds of the planned strike time. The weapon can loiter over a target area, receive updated targeting information in flight, and redirect itself to a different aim point if the primary target changes position. Iran's Soumar and Hoveizeh are credible regional cruise missiles. The Tomahawk is a different class of weapon operating at a different scale of precision, range, and operational flexibility. Iran. Fattah. This is the missile referenced in the hook of this video, and it represents the most significant qualitative leap in Iran's offensive missile capability to date. Unveiled in June 2023 and officially designated the Fattah, meaning conqueror in Farsi, Iran claims. This weapon is a hypersonic glide vehicle capable of reaching Mach 13 to 15 during terminal phase flight, with a maneuvering re-entry vehicle that can alter its trajectory during descent to defeat ballistic missile defense intercepts. If those specifications are accurate, the Fattah represents a genuine Tier 1 threat to American theater missile defense assets in the region. American intercept systems like the Patriot PAC-3 and DOD are designed to engage targets following predictable ballistic trajectories. A maneuvering hypersonic glide vehicle that changes course at Mach 13 presents a fundamentally different and considerably more complex intercept problem. Independent Western analysts is reviewing publicly available Fattah footage have noted that the claimed performance figures are consistent with the vehicle's apparent design, though confirmation of actual flight test data remains classified. 3 Fattah missiles were among those fired during the April 2024 strike on Israel. Israeli and American defense officials acknowledged afterward that not all launched missiles were intercepted. United States, ATACMS-183. ARRW and Dark Eagle. America's answer to the hypersonic era has been considerably more troubled than Washington would prefer to acknowledge. The ATACMS-183 air-launched rapid response weapon, intended to give the Air Force a hypersonic strike capability from B-52 bombers, suffered multiple consecutive test failures between 2021 and 2022 before achieving a first successful powered flight in 2022. The program was subsequently canceled in 2023. The long-range hypersonic weapon, known publicly as Dark Eagle, is an Army ground-launched hypersonic glide vehicle with a stated range exceeding 2,700 kilometers. Unlike Iran's Fattah, which has been publicly tested and displayed, Dark Eagle's development timeline has been marked by delays, with initial operational capability repeatedly pushed back. The United States Air Force's hypersonic attack cruise missile program remains in development. The uncomfortable reality is that in the specific domain of deployed, operationally ready hypersonic strike weapons, Iran announced a system before the United States Army fielded one. A comparison between American and Iranian missile systems cannot be complete without examining the most consequential asymmetry in the entire equation: missile defense. Iran currently possesses no system capable of intercepting modern American cruise missiles or ballistic missiles with any meaningful probability. The Russian-supplied S-300 batteries in Iranian service represent a credible defense against conventional aircraft and slower ballistic missiles. but they were not designed for the threat profile that American strikes would present. The United States, by contrast, operates the most extensive layered missile defense architecture in the world. Patriot PAC-3 batteries, THAAD systems, Aegis-equipped destroyers with SM-3 interceptors, and ground-based mid-course defense systems in Alaska and California. In any direct military confrontation, American offensive missiles would face Iranian air defenses operating under conditions of severe electronic jamming, cyber attack, and simultaneous multi-axis targeting designed to overwhelm any single-layer defense. Iranian offensive missiles would face a defense system that, while imperfect, has demonstrated real-world intercept capability against every ballistic missile threat profile that Iran currently deploys. The gap is not total. The Fattah hypersonic system represents a genuine challenge that American defenses have not publicly demonstrated the ability to defeat. But the strategic balance of a direct conflict remains overwhelmingly tilted in one direction. The most dangerous scenario in any US-Iran confrontation is not a missile duel between equals. It is the possibility that Iran, knowing it cannot win a prolonged exchange, fires everything it has simultaneously, and bets that saturation will succeed where precision cannot doubt. The missile programs of the United States and Iran represent two fundamentally different strategic philosophies. America builds precision weapons designed to destroy specific targets while minimizing collateral damage. Tools of a superpower that fights wars it expects to win cleanly and quickly. Iran builds weapons designed for deterrence, area denial, and the promise of unacceptable cost. Tools of a regional power that has no intention of winning a conventional war against the United States, but every intention of ensuring that any American president who orders a strike on Iranian soil understands exactly what that decision will cost. The Fattah hypersonic missile, whatever its actual performance figures turn out to be, is not a weapon Iran built because it believes it can defeat American missile defense. It is a weapon Iran built to introduce enough uncertainty into American military planning that the cost-benefit calculation of a strike becomes politically unsustainable. In that narrower sense, the missile has already succeeded, not by hitting a target, but by being built at all.